What up, what up, what up, what up, world? It's your boy, Oscar Mike. And if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I was on the USS Midway the other day. And in my Instagram post, I promised to drop a little knowledge, a little history about the USS Midway and the Battle of Midway. So the USS Midway was an aircraft carrier of the United States Navy. It was the lead ship of her class. She was commissioned a week after the end of World War II. She was the largest ship in the world until 1955, as well as the first U.S. aircraft carrier too big to transit the Panama Canal. She operated for about 47 years, during which time she saw action in the Vietnam War and served as the Persian Gulf flagship in 1991's Operation Desert Storm. She was decommissioned in 1992, and she's now a museum ship in San Diego, California, and that's where I went to visit her. So, the Battle of Midway. So, around June 1942, only 6 months after Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor, and 1 month after the Battle of the Coral Sea, the United States Navy under Admiral Chester Nimitz, that is, defeated an attacking fleet of Imperial Japanese Navy under Admiral Yamamoto. They inflicted devastating damage on the Japanese fleet. The event is known today as the most stunning and decisive blow in the history of naval warfare. So the Japanese operation, like the earlier attack on Pearl Harbor, sought to eliminate the United States as the strategic power in the Pacific, thereby giving Japan a free hand in establishing its Greater East Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere. That was their plan. So the Japanese hoped another demoralizing defeat will force the U.S. to surrender in the Pacific War and thus ensure Japanese dominance in the Pacific. So what they tried to do is they were trying to lure the U.S. aircraft carriers into a trap. And occupying Midway was part of that overall barrier strategy to extend Japan's defensive perimeter in response to the Doolittle air raid on Tokyo. So this operation also was considered preparatory for further attacks against Fiji, Samoa, and Hawaii. But the plan was handicapped by faulty Japanese assumptions of the Americans' reaction and poor initial dispositions. So most significantly, Navy intelligence was able to determine the date and location of the planned attack, enabling forewarned U.S. Navy personnel to prepare its own ambush. There were 7 aircraft carriers involved in the battle, and all 4 of Japan's large aircraft carriers were sunk, while the U.S. only lost 1 aircraft carrier, which was the Yorktown, and a destroyer. After Midway and the exhausting attrition of the Solomon Islands campaign, Japan's capacity to replace its losses in material and personnel, especially well-trained personnel, pilots and maintenance crewmen, it pretty much rapidly became insufficient to cope with the mounting casualties that they took. So while the U.S., we were in our, industrial revolution, so it was pretty easy for us to replenish materials and personnel at that time. So the Battle of Midway, along with the Guadalcanal campaign, is pretty much widely considered as the turning point in the Pacific War. All right. So that's just a short history lesson. If you're interested in more, I'd advise you to, get a couple books there. I mean, there are tons of books written about the Pacific War, the Battle of Midway, and it's a pretty good history. If you're a historian or you're an aspiring historian or a person that just likes to read up on that type of stuff, I advise you to go and get a book or do a Google search. Hopefully you got something out of this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe.